So what is this Marvel Snap you've been hearing about? Well, it's a card game from ex-Hearthstone Ideas man Ben Rode, carrying the mammoth weight of the Marvel license. Sounds great, right? But mobile focused and Marvel? Oh, that could be gacha, right? All that and more in today's full review of the new digital card game with a fucking terrible name. So to get something out of the way that I've had to discuss with a few people, this isn't Snap. This isn't the card game where you match cards that you're putting down in front of you, slam your hand down and shout out Snap or whatever lewd alternative you and your friends have come up with. Analingus, for example. I don't know what that is, says Grandpa. Well, look, Grandpa, I'll show you. Why they went for this name when it already has connotations in card games is an odd one to me. I get it that it refers to the evocative Thanos Snap in Infinity War, but surely there was a better name than this, right? Anyway, name aside, is the game any good? If you're looking to pick up card game singles or steal product, use the code in the description below for coolsniffing.com. That's Kenobi at checkout, or the link in the description below to help support the channel and get 5% off your order. The basics of Marvel Snap are as follows. You have a 12 card deck with no duplicates, and you draw 3 cards to begin the game and 1 more each turn. The aim of the game is at the end of turn 6 to control 2 of the 3 positions on the board. You do this by placing characters into each of the positions, each character having a power stat that adds to the total power in that space. There are 6 turns in total, with each turn seeing your energy pool replenish and gain 1 additional turn before, exactly like the mana crystals of Hearthstone. And that's the basics. The complexity of the game is that vast majority of characters have an added line of text or an ability on them. They either do something upon being played or ongoing for the rest of the match. These effects can be buffs for your forces, removal of enemy characters or debuffs, drawing cards, copying itself, or moving characters. There's quite a lot of variety amongst the staple of Marvel characters that you know. The added layer of complexity comes in the environments you must control. All 3 are hidden at the beginning of the game, with each one being revealed from left to right in turns 1 through 3. These have effects that can cause serious setbacks, RNG buffs and debuffs, or vastly change the flow of a game. And that is it. That is the basics of the game. It is probably one of the simplest card games that I've ever really fallen in love with, and I mean it when I say that. I absolutely love the mechanics of this game. The core gameplay is fast, and it's simple to learn, easily the best mobile-focused card game experience out there at the moment, but with the compounding variables of cards in hand, the environments on board, there ends up being a huge amount of depth to each game. This might sound impossible with the size of decks being so small, but those 2 factors are kind of independent of one another, and they have their own knock-on effects. I'll come to that more in a moment. With the environment system and the RNG of those, as well as some other cards like Scarlet Witch, for example, a staple that randomizes the environment she enters, this can absolutely turn a game around. The games expand far beyond do the same game plan every single game like you can get in other card games. Of course, the RNG has its downside too, though, because sometimes you just get absolutely fucked because you get environments that you can't realistically play into with the deck you're playing. These variables and this variance is good though, because enacting your game plan in Marvel Snap is very, very easy. The decks are only 12 cards. You will only not see 3 cards from your deck each game, so you're going to see the vast majority of them and enact your game plan relatively reliably. This means that statistically you are likely to draw your powerful 5 or 6 drop engine card that is the linchpin of your strategy, a Lord for the Go Wide Zoo deck, or Onslaught for the Go Tall Ongoing deck, or Odin for the end of the battlefield trigger effect deck. You get the picture. You are very likely to draw them. It is reliable. I found myself just assuming the opponent will have it when considering a metagame staple that their deck is likely to play. But sometimes an environment will open up where you can only place 1 card, for example, or the lowest power in that area wins, so you actually get blown out if you've placed ahead. And suddenly you go big Devil Dinosaur Onslaught combo kill isn't useful for 2/3 of the field. The game features no stack or instant speed responses. Instead, turns are taken simultaneously, placing cards face down, then revealing them and resolving them with the unreveal effects in sequence, starting with one player revealing and then moving to the other. Which player reveals first alternates between the players, or goes with whichever player has the highest power to start with. I forget which, something I should have really written down before I started writing this review. This leads to an element of bluffing, posturing, and thinking ahead to your opponent's game plan, the classic hallmarks of a good card game. You need to play around their haymakers, their removal cards, and their combos as well, which are all but guaranteed to see play in 90% of games due to deck size, drawing and thinning and such. But you can fake committing to a lane with an early 1-drop deploy, or you want to deploy to a key area like Bar Sinister because there's an element of waiting for who shoots first in terms of counterplay. Will they play their Enchantress before you play your Devil Dinosaur? And things like that. And all of this is happening in just a few minutes, with a 6-turn game of simultaneous turn taking around 3 to 4 minutes. Maybe max out at 6 if people are taking all their clock to fit. It is fast paced, it is nuanced, and it is fucking addictive. The RNG blowouts are on occasion, but I often see lines in which I could have taken a better sequence of plays, and thus agency feels paramount. You'll often just sit there after losing and realize that you just committed a certain card you just pushed on the right to the left, you could have won. And I think that's really good. I think agency is super important to any card game I want to spend my time grinding at. And I say grinding, but the tight, succinct games means that I can get games in when I'm waiting for the kettle to boil. I played a game in the doctor's office the other day. I do it when I'm taking a massive shit. It's the perfect mobile game, honestly. Something I didn't know I wanted or needed until now. It's way better than I expected it. It's way better than it deserves to be. The level of depth is far beyond anything I expected, and I absolutely love it. Beyond the basic ins and outs of playing the game though, there is a titular snap system where you can essentially double down or go all in and bet, hashtag not gambling, that you can win. This doubles the number of infinity cubes that you will get, up to a maximum of 8 if both players are feeling cocky and both snap. And because of this ability to put all your chips in, you can also tactically retreat. So if your opponent snaps and they're going to take 4 cubes from you because you lose them as well as gain them, if you lose them for losing, gain them for winning. But if your opponent snaps, you can decide to retreat because you don't think you're going to win the match. Retreating is a valid option. It is completely and correctly a thing to do if you're trying to climb the ladder, something that I haven't quite got to grips with yet because it's so unique compared to any other card game. This unique mechanic I have not experienced elsewhere or in any other ladder, and currently I find myself with above average win rate I think, but I tend to lose 8 more often than I win 8. Or I'll lose 8 and only win a 4 and a 1 before I lose another 4. It's this interesting back and forth that is something that I need to learn and develop, and I like that. However, with all this out of the way of me gushing about how much I like Marvel Snap and how much I do encourage you to try this game out, I think it's very, very good. It's not all rainbows. Some of you are probably wondering, but what's the economy like? We all know a game or two that rocks, but a dog shit economy designed by villainous boardroom executives and mathematicians hired not only for their economic know-how, but also for their lapse in morals. Well, Marvel doesn't quite go full Predator. There aren't energy-gated game actions that you need to refill, nor are we on a full predatory pay to get all the cards and stomp other people that haven't territory. There are a lot of interesting ideas going on within the collection system, but I think at present that they culminate to actually hamper the game and dampen the experience somewhat after spending upwards of 20 hours playing by this point. Firstly, card acquisition is a fucking slog. The only way to get cards in game is to move up the collection level track. Each few pips gets you a new card, in-game currency, a variant, which is basically a skin of a card, or boosters, which is one of the in-game currencies that allows you to upgrade the cards visually. I dislike that they're called boosters because boosters traditionally are packs that you would open in any other fucking card game, but card games and confusing names, name a more iconic duo. You acquire boosters at certain points in the collection levels and for randomized winnings at the end of a match. If you played a card or the card was in your deck, you may get some boosters to allow you to upgrade it down the line. To upgrade a card, you need credits, which are things you get for doing missions, or you can buy them in the shop. That's where the currency comes in. And alongside boosters, you can upgrade a card's cosmetic look. You can make them border extend outside of the frame, a frame break. You can get them to have 3D art assets or elements of animation, shiny logos, that sort of thing. It's a sequential upgrade, and each time you do it, you get collection points, which push you up the collection ladder and push you on to finding new cards. You only play against people with the same collection level as you, which sounds good, so you're not playing against people with much better collections than you. However, the cards you get on the collection track, once you get into the second and third bucket of cards, the second and third sets, they are randomized. So I've played for 20 fucking hours at this point, I have a collection level of over 400, and I still haven't opened Human Torch, so I still can't really play an optimized version of the move deck, but I have played against Human Torch once or twice. The credits are the bottleneck to the largest extent. The boosters you get for just playing, and you can just grind and play, get tons of them. The credits are achieved through missions, a couple of stages on the rank ladder, 50 for a day in the shop for everyone, and you get more through the season pass as well, something I did buy into as I was having so much fun with the game, and I think the season pass is okay. It does sound complicated, because it kind of is complicated, but ultimately you upgrade the cosmetics of cards, it pushes you up a ladder, and you unlock cards. The problem is that you don't unlock those cards in any sequence, so you can be going for ages before you get the key cards for the Destroy deck or the Move deck. I still haven't got Hela, for example, or I just got Cloak this morning to be able to play that in the Move deck. Gold is the real-world cash analog, which can be used for 2 things and 2 things only. One is buying skins of cards, also known as variants, which you can get in other ways too, like random drops essentially on the progression tracks. But some of these are adorable or really cool. I really do like the idea of getting alternate arts and customizing your deck, but they are fucking expensive to buy from the shop. I was shocked at how expensive the variants are even for a cosmetic, dwarfing the cost of extended frame variants on Arena for Magic, or even League of Legends cosmetics. $8.99 for a 700 gold one, 15 quid for a 1200 gold version. Ultimately, this doesn't matter, they aren't needed to play, but it's still wild that a card skin costs more than your average remodel and particle effect swap in a League character. With the only way of acquiring characters being the grind up the collection level ladder, and those unlocks being randomized for the most part, it's very hard to actually build the deck you want to play. Do you see someone online playing the multiple man move deck and you think it looks cool and interesting? Or maybe Death's Destruction archetype? Well, grind to unlock the key cards, and it still might take you fucking ages. And some deck archetypes actually kind of suck before you get the real synergistic key cards or payoffs. For example, the Sacrifice or Destroy deck is a great example of this. It doesn't seem very good until you get to the upper tier, more powerful cards in it. For example, Bucky. Without Bucky, you aren't going to get very far. And I got that midway through Bucket 2, so quite a bit in. And this all leads to an element of stagnation. Now, I'm saying stagnation, I've enjoyed all of my time with it, and I've been playing primarily just the Moon Girl Devil Dinosaur, one of the best early game decks. But deck variety comes in archetypes. When there are only 12 slots in a deck, you kind of need to commit to the synergy you want, leaving maybe 2 to 3 slots for your best tech utility pieces, like Killmonger, for example, or Scarlet Witch that I mentioned earlier. This means you will come across the same 9 to 12 card dinosaur deck quite a lot in ladder, especially as people haven't got the optimized stuff for other decks yet. Everyone is looking to play the early game best decks to unlock cards, right, and progress up the ladder. And there's an element that the game designers want people just to play with the cards they have, instead of net deck the best decks. But if you've played any card game before, that is a strange expectation to get from card game players. People want to play with the most optimum decks and then test their skills, not test whether or not they randomly lucked into opening Bucky. So at the moment, I've started to run out of credits, even with the season pass to trickle in some currency, and I'm starting to run dry on the ability to grind and upgrade and push up that track. The final element of this all that bugs me to no end is that once you finish 50 levels of the pass and get all the unlocks, you start to hit collection level 500, which I have not yet, but you move on to the truly randomized boxes that can contain currency, the booster upgrade currency, or variants. Opening 10 booster points for a character I do not play is a massive kick in the dick, and when it takes a lot of effort to get these boxes, I think that's kind of inexcusable. Beyond all of that, the game runs and looks great on mobile. I can't stress enough how good this game is for mobile gaming. This isn't MTG Arena overheating your phone and crashing it every 5 minutes, but all that said, I have been jamming it on my Galaxy 22, so I can't talk for lower end phones, but I'd love to hear about people in the comments and how they're getting on playing this on lower end, lower spec phone. PC client is bare bones at the moment, which is it being ported from the mobile app. All the footage you've seen on screen while I've been talking has been from the PC version, but with the new tabs are broken in it. The occasional crash, I've had 2 crashes on the PC client, and the everything just feels like it's designed for mobile, but it is in beta on PC. There are great animations of your hover cards that are fucking sweet. The Punisher fires bullets all around him, shells raining down to the battlefield, Cyclops fires a beam out of his arsehole. It's all good stuff. One thing I will say on the presentation side is to see that the premiere card game for Marvel, of all people, has so few voice lines. I mean, there are things like Iron Man says, "I am Iron Man," as he enters, but I'd love to hear like key big characters like members of the Avengers talk to each other, or key characters and their villains taunt each other, like you see in Legends of Runeterra. I think that add a lot of character to the game. There's also no flavor text, barring a couple like the non-ability cards like Hulk have it. There's no way to look at full screen art of the cards in your inventory. There's no credit to artists. There's no reference to the issue numbers from which the art or the comic book cover that the art is taken from comes from. All things that could help from a theme and fluff side to make the game feel more entrenched in the world of Marvel comic books, and maybe even convert some people across to reading those comic books. It's a minor concern, but it's something that I think could improve. There is murmurings of updates ongoing, and the latest patch dropped today as I recorded this, with upgrades and changes, new sound effects for some of the environments, for example, and I love that. I love that this game has so much promise in it. But they need to make some changes to the progress system, or find a way for us to pick and build characters that we are sorely lacking to be able to play new deck archetypes after 10-15 hours of grinding. There are character tokens coming in a future update, I believe, so I wait with bated breath to see how they play out and how they function. Ultimately, I think Marvel Snap is really fucking good, especially if you aren't going to commit to playing absolutely tons of it. The core gameplay loop is incredibly satisfying. I'm going to give the game overall an 8.4 out of 10. I was going to give it a 9, I really was early on, but as I played more and more of it and not unlocked enough stuff to play other decks, I found myself a bit frustrated, so I'm knocking some points off there. I hope you enjoyed the video. I've never really done a video review like this. I'm only doing it because I've been so into the game. I might do this for new card games coming up, both physical and digital. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments section below how you've been getting on with Marvel Snap, and I'll see you all soon. Ta-ta for now.